Eric, thanks for putting up with this. Great to have you on the show. How are you?
Oh, thanks for inviting me. I look forward to sharing our story today.
Can you talk to us? I keep on hearing, unfortunately for my doctor, about hyperinflammation. And hyperinflammation is the evil in all of us, I would assume. It is the bane of our existence. And I would argue that that would start including cancer. Talk about that a little bit, because that's where you guys, that's the field you guys play in.
Yeah, it is. SeaStar Medical is really focused on that exact market, which is hyperinflammation. So if we all know the cytokine storm, and the cytokine storm really came to headlines through the COVID-19 epidemic. And so, at the end of the day, it's in both acute as well as chronic diseases, and it's not treated well, actually not treated at all today. We try to treat it through drugs or different types of techniques, and quite frankly, none are really consistent. That's where SeaStar Medical really comes in. We've been able to address all sorts of cytokine storms, and they can be through viruses, bacteria. We call that sepsis, trauma, surgery. We are truly agnostic as to how it starts. What we focus on is solving the problem.
Eric, is there a, I dare to use the word panacea with a company like yours, but is there a simple explanation? In other words, if one therapy works on one sort of inflammation, does it work on the rest of them?
Well, yeah, that's what we're learning more and more about it. But, the immune system is very complicated. And so what we try to do is, at least in the pharmaceutical world, is you go after one of the kind of mediators, right? They call them cytokines. And the problem is that it's a very redundant system, the immune system. And so because of that, what we've actually been able to do is go after the first responders and turn the actual faucet down. And so it literally quells the immune system, which is how we came up with the brand name for the SCD called Quell Immune, which is, that's the one that was just recently approved for pediatric use.
I know Mike has a question for you real quickly. Can you just real quick before I forget, is our inflammation state of play different than it was in, let's say, 1960 or 1950? I mean, are we worse off now than we were, for example, when our parents were roaming the earth with the dinosaurs? But seriously, are we in a different spot now than we were before?
I don't know if we're in a different spot. I think we have a lot more tools now, diagnostic tools, to be able to really show that inflammation is at the root of it. And look, it's it's not an easy story in the sense that it's kind of like an 8-headed monster, but it's always there. And I think we're starting to learn more and more that it is actually the root of many of these illnesses, both acute and chronic.
But so Eric,
it was there before.
It's not a lifestyle result necessarily. I guess it's probably what I was asking.
Well, yes and no. I mean, so in the case of like acute kidney injury, where we have these adults that are 50, 60 years old, it's, they've kind of beat their bodies up. They have diabetes, heart failure. It could be definitely a lot of that is lifestyle. But you think about then the children don't have bad lifestyles. They just might have had bad luck. And that's kind of the difference, is that you can have bad lifestyles, but you can also have just bad luck.
Eric, that leads me to my question. Is there a greater number of people out there that suffer from things like hyperinflammation that have no clue, have no idea what they're suffering for until they go to a doctor that says, hey, you have to take a look at this?
Yes, that's. I can tell an analogy. It is the case. I think it's kind of the hidden enemy, quite frankly. And we saw this in one of our patients where the patient had the heart as well as the kidneys were failing. And we went to go pour the device, the elution or the solution that was in it, and it poured like milk. That's how much inflammation was trapped within the SCD for this therapy. And when you start to think about that's all just floating around in our bodies. And pulling that out allowed that patient to actually be bridged to another therapy.
Mike's looks more like whiskey, if I'm not mistaken. But can you talk about the FDA approval for, I hope I'm saying this correctly, Quell Immune for children? You mentioned that prior. Let's talk about what a milestone that was regarding FDA.
Oh, it's a huge milestone. So this is an autologous cell therapy. So it looks and smells like a device, but it is actually autologous cell therapy. And why it's important is that we were the first really to get the approval in this area, we were overseen by the biologics division of the FDA as a device, which is highly unusual because they understand it to be that. This took a lot of effort, a lot of team work to be able to get it over the finish line. But it is a huge milestone for the company, but also for parents, for families, and for the future generations, because this therapy has been shown to reduce mortality rates in half, and not one patient is on dialysis at day 60. So they can live normal lives for the rest of their lives.
Eric, how long was that FDA story from start to finish? From the time you did, I assume phase 1 until you went and got your approval.
Yeah. So we started the study in 2015. 2016 is when we had the first actually patient dose. So it's about 7-8 years. It's a long journey.
So which leads to the question: where are we now in terms of other therapies that you're developing, and what's the what's the magic number when Mike and I go to the doctor and say, hey, can you write me a script for that, please? Are we 7 years away? Are we 5 years away? It's just unknown.
You mean from? I'm sorry. So
from where you are right now with
from
the FDA story, in the rest of your therapies.
Okay.
And where we're at.
Yeah. So the next one is in adults. So adult AKI, or acute kidney injury. That's about 2025, probably the end of 2025. We should have that available, maybe the beginning of 26. But it's not that long. We're in the middle of enrolling a study. We're also enrolling. We'll be enrolling in some other indications around cardiorenal. So that's where the heart and kidneys, hepatorenal, liver, kidneys. So you can kind of see that it's a very broad story. And one of the things that the biggest nut that we're going to crack is sepsis. It is the one that has eluded everybody. And if you actually look at the label that we got from the FDA for this humanitarian device exemption, they actually suggested putting sepsis on the label.
No kidding.
That was not a point of negotiation, meaning that that's what they saw. They've seen our data. They understand how it works. And I don't know of another product for a therapy that actually has that approved on label.
Hey Eric. First of all, we'd love to have you back. This is fascinating, and it gives us a little bit of hope here. Before I let you out of here, what is the addressable market, in your opinion, both U.S. and globally, for what we're treating here?
Yeah. So in children, it's about 4,000 children annually in the United States. Think of it as about a $40 to $80 million market. Annually. For adults, acute kidney injury, the target market there is about 200,000. So that's about a $2 to $4 billion market. Each one of these indications that we're going after are 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. So you can kind of just see the increment starting. And by the way, it's one device. It's leveraged.
One cartridge, one device. Eric Schlorff, CEO, SeaStar Medical Holding Corp. ICU Business Doc. Check them out at SeaStarMed.com.